You ever wonder why buyers keep telling you next quarter will be the right time? Now, in this one, probably a lot of times, this is purely an excuse, right? It's just the easiest way to get a seller to go away is just to say, oh, well, next quarter, let's talk then. And next quarter never comes, right? It's just next quarter, next quarter, next quarter. And so let's set that one aside for a minute, because people that are just constantly delaying and just constantly putting out, that's one thing. But sometimes there is specificity in this, right? So when they say next quarter, they mean it. Like there is a window that is a better window for them than right now. So let's just assume that this isn't just the typical deferment, all right? Now, in this situation, what happens is if we think about a timeline, right? And if you are here in the present and the buyer's saying, okay, for me, right now is not the right time to buy, but next quarter, this window is the right time. So if they're being honest and they're really just saying this is a timing situation, what do you do as a seller? And so I think what often happens is sellers get excited, right? I mean, there is the initial kind of disappointment because you want the sale now. So I totally get that. So there, after you get past the initial disappointment, if you really believe that there is an opportunity for revenue here, then it's just a matter of patience to say, okay, I really wanted the deal now, but in 3 months, if I can get this, that's a big deal. I can still have that count towards my year, et cetera. And so in this situation, I think a lot of times what sellers tend to do is they get into just a wait mode, right? So I'm going to be patient. I'm going to bide my time. And then when we're in this window, I am going to sell, full court press, 100%. I'm going to sell and I'm going to win that deal. And while it's nice to have patience, the problem is this is too passive. And in this area here, this is a lot of time for change and risk. Because if you are just kind of mentally checking out and just periodically just seeing what's going on, there's a lot of risk that can happen between these 2 points that can derail your deal. So when then you try to re-engage here and try to sell hard, something has material shifted, and all of a sudden, like, your odds of winning that deal are a lot less, and it comes as a shock. And so a better strategy here is to be able to kind of acknowledge and respect that they want to be able to push it out and there is a future window, but not to take such a passive approach. And so what I try to do in these situations and coach people is to say, you really want to get into a planning stage, right? And it's almost a dimension of kind of like assuming the close, if you will, because, all right, we have 3 months, but if I believe that this buyer really wants to buy and they are an advocate and they see the problem and they value the solution and they're okay with the price and everything is lined up, it's just a matter of timing. In that case, that's a different relationship, right? So what I want to try to do is to do the selling now. That way the transaction can happen here. Because in that window, I don't want to have to sell. I want to just be able to say, just sign here and let's do it. And so the more that you can kind of move into this planning stage here, instead of just waiting to sell, the better off you're going to be, because then it neutralizes potential risk because you are actively working with this prospect. And the other advantage of kind of moving into a planning stage is it's much easier to be able to monitor the situation, to listen for changes. That way, again, you are minimizing these risks and greatly increasing the odds that you are going to be able to achieve that revenue because there's just less surprise. Like, you've been planning for this for 3 months. When the window occurs, we get the PO, we get it set up, and then it's done, right? There's just so much less drama. And so that's what you want to think about is in that situation, what you really want to think about in your planning is this person truly ready to buy? And is there anything else I need to do to ensure that it is, or this person is ready for a purchase once the window opens? And so that's why this planning stage and really trying to work as partners to say, great, Let's talk about what needs to happen between now and then. Maybe even talk about some implementation rollout that says, hey, even though this is getting pushed out for 3 months, let's really think about how you can maximize your return as quickly as possible, right? So let's talk about who's going to be in phase one, who's going to be in phase two, how we're going to roll it out. And so the more that they feel like they are kind of co-creating with you and collaborating with you, why, after all this planning and strategy, would they then change their minds here, right? And so that's why being able to think kind of from a strategic perspective, almost assume that deal is going to be closed and start moving into planning, that's a much better effect or much better strategy than just waiting and then trying to sell here. Okay. And so if you are thinking about, again, people that, and it doesn't have to be quarter, right? It's just whenever someone gives you a specific time in the future, that defines the window. And then it's a matter of, okay, how can I kind of stay engaged between now and then to greatly increase my odds of success once that window opens?